Senator, let me switch gears for a moment and talk to you about what is playing out in Washington, D.C. right now, this new relief package that is expected to be approved in the House, signed by the president. Talk to us a little bit about how you see this helping small businesses in your state. What have you been hearing from those small businesses?
A lot of frustration because they had everything queued up, but then they didn't get their revenue. Clearly, they're trying to keep people employed. They're trying to keep people employed and kind of keep them going bankrupt. That's the whole point of the PPP. I will say it's been unnecessarily delayed, and a lot of them, 4 or 5 days, may make the difference between staying in business or not. I'm glad the House is finally voting on it.
I know that the measure will also help hospitals and provide more testing. You are one of the few physicians in the Senate. Tell us how you see that money helping out.
Well, it will only help if it's used wisely. I've had an incredible frustration because I don't think that we are wisely using our resources. If you go to New Orleans, for example, we are a hotspot. But within that hotspot, there are hotspots. And if you go into a census tract where you have more cases and/or you have people with higher risk, be it diabetic, obese, or hypertensive, then you want to swoop into that area, testing literally everybody. You have a trusted figure so they know what you're doing. Those people who need, you quarantine, you give them everything they need, the doctor's visits, the nurse's visits, the food, you name it, and you make sure they get well, but they also do not infect other people. That's what the Germans are doing, the South Koreans are doing. They are already reopening their economy, and they have lowered their per capita death rate more than we. We need to be doing that as well.
Let me ask you about state and local governments, because it seems that Majority Leader Mitch McConnell is obviously pumping the brakes on that, even saying that some states should declare bankruptcy. Former Republican Congressman Peter King said, essentially calling those comments shameful, and called McConnell the Marie Antoinette of the Senate. I know you're proposing a bipartisan bill to help the states. What is your message to Mitch McConnell?
Well, two things. One, I don't think we should allow people to declare bankruptcy. There's a lot of policemen, firemen, sanitation workers, et cetera, who are necessary for those small businesses to reopen. Of course, in context, it may just be that Mitch is saying, whenever I agree to anything with Schumer and Pelosi that we think is a deal, that then becomes the basis for their next step of asking for more and more and more. It's not a deal after all. They just wanted to sort out what I would give. So maybe it's just a negotiating ploy. Whatever it is, I don't think we should let cities go bankrupt. We need those policemen, firemen, sanitation workers to keep our small business intact, to keep our people employed.
And I apologize for saying former Congressman Pete King is obviously currently a congressman, but let me just ask you a follow-up on that, if I may. You're saying that this may have been a negotiating tactic or ploy by Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, but is this really the time to be doing that kind of political ploy and not getting the money to the states and local governments who need to be paying hospital bills, or police workers, garbage collectors, fire department folks?
I think you need to say that to Pelosi and Schumer, who have on 2 different occasions held up for as long as a week needed aid to small businesses and to individuals because they wish to get more money for the Kennedy Center or to employ portions of the Green New Deal. Whatever the value of that, I'm not here to debate that. I'm here to say that money could have been out a week earlier to families and to small businesses, but they decided to hold it up to try and extract more. So it may be that that's just the environment. If everybody said stop, we're just going to do that which we agree upon, and not then try and push the others to the wall with the American people being the ones who suffer, I would be great. I would be really okay with that.
Well, let me ask you this. Are you getting the support you need from fellow Republicans on the bill that you sponsored?
Yes, we've already had Republicans call and asking to co-sponsor. And so I do think that there is appetite among both Democrats and Republicans to support, again, our firemen, our police officers, our sanitation workers, all those necessary for a small business to continue to employ people.
Senator, I'd also like to get your reaction to another headline. A top official at the Department of Health and Human Services says that he was ousted from his job this week for pushing back on demands that he sign off on a coronavirus treatment the president had been talking about. Dr. Scott Bright says, quote, "I am speaking out because to combat this deadly virus, science, not politics or cronyism, has to lead the way." As a senator and a doctor, obviously you believe in science. What do you make of this? And is this something lawmakers should look into?
First, I agree science should lead the way. We don't know whether Dr. Bright is just somebody who should have been let go for whatever reason, or whether his claims are valid. That should be established, because we shouldn't have politicalization of scientific fact. On the other hand, maybe it just made the system work better. I don't know the answer to that, but it should be established.
All right. Senator Cassidy, thank you so much for joining us this hour. Appreciate your time. And as always, appreciate your insights.
Hey, thank you.